I'm Dr. Brian T. McNamara. I'm the Chief of Cardiovascular Services at St. Mary's and an interventional cardiologist. Over the 9 years I've been here, the volumes and the demands on the program have increased by an enormous amount. The complexity of the patients has evolved by an enormous amount, and the ages with the demographics, the patients are just that much more complicated. The Cardiac Catheterization Laboratory has 2 suites of top-of-the-line Siemens equipment. It's state-of-the-art engineering. I think the oldest one is 5 years old, and the newer one is 4 years old. You know, an interventionist has to have great imaging in order to be able to do your work efficiently, and this provides that. The problem with the demand that we have is that that kind of equipment, even though it's top-of-the-line, beautifully built, German-engineered equipment, it's meant to operate like the rest of the world, 8 to 4. And we're now operating 2 shifts in both rooms, 8 to 10 p.m. If you look at hardware and catheterization equipment, such as the cardiac cath lab imaging equipment, it has a certain service life. It's designed for X number of cases per year with a certain amount of preventive maintenance, just like your automobile. So if you take an automobile that's designed for 30,000 kilometers a year and you put it in a commercial driving environment and you put 100,000 kilometers a year on it, it's going to break down more often, it's going to require more service, it's going to be less reliable. And this is what, in fact, we're doing with this fantastic equipment that we have that isn't designed to be run from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. in 2 shifts. Most cath labs operate in kind of an 8 to 4 environment with an emergency shift to handle emergencies after hours. We're running ours vastly more than what the expectations of the manufacturer would be. Hence, we need a third cath lab to unload some of the burden on those 2 rooms that we have and return our staff, physicians, nurses back to a little more normalcy in terms of, you know, work-life balance. So what happens is that when you only have 2 labs running, a heart attack patient comes in and we run what's called a STEMI program, ST elevation MI or heart attack, and we're able to offer primary PCI or stenting to a patient with a heart attack 24/7. Those things, unfortunately, cannot be scheduled. So in any given day, there might be 1 or 2, sometimes more, heart attack patients arrive, and it wreaks havoc with our schedule. So patients get canceled towards the end of the day and they're held over to the next day. Or a patient from Guelph, for example, can't be transferred into St. Mary's, so they have an extra length of stay in Guelph or Cambridge or one of our partner hospitals. And then there's far-reaching effects into the smaller hospitals. You know, we service an area from Simcoe to Tobermory, and there's dozens and dozens of small hospitals, for example, that have patients that have been sitting 3 and 4 and 5 days waiting to come to St. Mary's Cath Lab. When you have 3 rooms, you unload that and there's less likelihood of being canceled. The ministry, unfortunately, has many, many hands out, and we have to look to our local community leaders to help us maintain our facilities so that we can provide high quality patient care. I don't think a lot of the public truly understand that. I think they think the ministry basically writes a check for all these kinds of things when your priority comes up, but that's not actually the case. The case is that the ministry expects the local community to come forward with some contribution and some resources to acquire this kind of hardware and technology.